Oh, yeah. I can.
Got it.
Okay. And I'm going to just count in and then just we can have a little talk.
We'll do a show. Let's
Now-
do a show.
Oh, let's
Now,
do
it
a
gave me a-
show.
It
Get
gave
Nikki
me a
and Judy.
consent. It gave me
What's
a
that?
consent button. It gave me a consent button. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
all right,
I
It
think
got
we-
it.
I didn't
It
know.
got it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long time since I listened to these guys about in the last age. Since then, they have been the good cop, bad cop of left-wing broadcasters, ladies and gentlemen. Unless they're talking about New York Times columnist David Brooks, when it's safe to say that it's bad cop, edgy Mel Gibson, too old for this ship, psychotic, worst cop. She is a lovely Christian lady whose background includes a degree from Harvard University and working at the website Crooks and Liars, where her blog appears weekly. And then, of course, the mythical being known as Driftglass, an award-winning blogger, an activist who walks by night and haunts the minds of evildoers, righting wrongs and teaching Sunday school in his spare time. Together, they are the dynamic duo of podcasting and host the highly rated Professional Left podcast. They get much more listeners than I will ever get because they're smarter. They are the cornfield-resistant. Let's get the kids out of the pup tent, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome my extra special guest, direct from Springfield, Illinois, Driftglass and Bluegal.
Hey! Hi! Hi, Bill!
Hi.
Hey,
Who's the leader of the club that's great for you and me? Yeah. That'd be you guys.
Brifty.
Yeah.
Is this the end of Full Metal Jacket version of that? That's kind of terrifying that you lead off with, us marching to our doom. But okay, that's great.
I feel that way towards this entire decade, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, it's awful. I was listening to you as I have for years, and I'm sorry my wife passed away last year, and she was
so
one
sorry.
of your biggest fans, and she would have loved to have had the opportunity to talk to you because we would tape your things and not tape. What's the newfangled thing? I don't know. And we would tape them, and we go on long Australian drives, and we'd have you in the background.
Oh,
So you were the soundtrack of our long haul drives through the Australian outback. I have a few questions. You ready?
yeah, you betcha.
Okay. All right. Look, one of the great things I love about the show, amongst the fact, is that there's an obvious chemistry between you two. Was it politics that brought you together? And when did you realize, and this is kind of a romantic thing, I'm silly that way because love drips out of your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
No, I'm serious. It's one of the nicest things is listening to people. Did you ever sit and watching people that shouldn't be together? And you go, why am I here? This is awkward. Being with you is like two people who obviously should be together. What role did politics have in you guys getting together?
Do you want me to tell the story, Driftglass, or do you want to tell
After you tell it. Well, I'll tell the short version. You tell the slightly longer.
Okay.
Version,
All right.
Which is I wanted from the internet, the early blogosphere promise of the internet was I get liquor, I get women, I get money. And I got them all. So I'm done. I can just I got everything I wanted off the internet, and I can just sort of bag it now, and I have everything I want.
Die now a happy man.
Well, and when he says money, he's not talking about, Young Turks money. He's just talking about enough to pay the electric bill every month.
Yes. That's
But
all I have.
It's enough, and we're happy. So,
What's the story, by the way, with all these guys like Pod Save America saying that they invented the friggin' internet waves thing there, guy?
Yeah, I mean, I love them. I think anyone who wants to podcast should podcast. But I think anyone who wants to podcast, and I have nothing negative to say about anyone who wants
you're too nice.
Join the team.
Screw them.
There's no competition from left of center to left as far as I'm concerned. But a lot of people have made it very, very lucrative and spend a lot of their podcast time with advertisers and with marketers or agents or whatever. And I have never been that kind of person, never wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I was on another podcast one time that was like, how to make your podcast successful beyond your wildest dreams so you can buy an island somewhere and retire. And that was this guy's whole thing, was how do you become a millionaire doing this? And I said, I never intend to do that. That's not my thing. I want to reach out to a community, have a commitment to those people, to talk to them every week. I want it to express my values. And I hope that people will appreciate it enough to send us, $5 a month or what we have what we call the gourmet coffee guideline, which is if you can afford it, support our show. If you can't afford it, this is our gift to you. But getting back to our relationship.
Well, if I may interrupt.
Yeah.
That answers the question, how did I fall in love with this woman?
Yeah, I know.
I see.
I mean, her values are great. She's an awesome mom. She's an awesome person. She's the love of my life. And she has this lovely voice. And, what's not to love, for God's sake?
No, I had one too. So I know what it's like.
I'm married so far above my, weight class.
You and Barack Obama married way above your pay grade. Yeah.
I don't deserve any of it. I deserve none of this. So this is all gravy.
But I was married before. Both of us were married to attorneys before this, I should say. And,
really?
And they were unhappy marriages.
Uh-huh.
And I got out of my unhappy marriage in 2008. At the same time, I went up to Chicago to a Shakespeare Sister meetup, and that's an old school blog that Melissa has retired now, but she had a meetup at an Irish pub, and I knew Driftglass was going to be there, and I was a huge fan of his writing.
Great.
And we in each other's comment threads would say things and flirt, but it was flirting, and I was getting divorced and had 3 kids and not at all,
that
on the horizon of I'll ever get married again. And Driftglass always presented himself in his blog at that time as a lone wolf. And I figured, this guy is, I'd love to meet him. He's a great writer. I'd love to meet him. But, he's Driftglass, this is not going to be a romantic thing.
He's mythical, so that's hard.
And I met this 6'8" guy.
Bluegal also had a salon that she ran at the time.
I did. I had a salon that was just chat, no video. There was no such thing as streaming your camera from your house at that point.
Yeah.
But it was all typing and chat on Skype, I think, at that time, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Back in the old days.
Back in the old time.
We would just goof on each other and say things that were hilarious. But what do you want me to tell them about the bath mat story?
Oh yeah.
No.
I have to tell you about the bath mat story.
Yeah,
now.
tell me.
No.
I made a joke about how
that's it. We're done.
Okay, he doesn't want to hear it. Okay,
I'm kidding.
I'll not say it.
I'm kidding.
Well, I said something to the effect of, and this was before we had ever met. I said something to the effect of, "Well, if I ever come to Chicago, Driftglass, I'll just sleep on your bath mat." And he said, "I would find a much more accommodating place for you to sleep, Bluegal." And that was kind of
sweet.
A shot across the bow there.
Well, when you're dating, you have to dangle those things out, know.
Well, and it was just, he was quick and he was funny, and it wasn't. Again, I had never met him, so this was internet kind of flirting around.
You fell in love with each other's brains,
right? We did first, and then so I met this 6'8", handsome as far as I was concerned, very smart, kind person at the Shakespeare Sister meetup. And about, I would say 45 or 50 minutes into the meetup, I realized this guy is sitting right next to me and he's not leaving my side the whole evening. Just like he's glued to that chair next to me. And there are other people to meet and so forth, but he's just like, oh no, he's planted himself right here.
Yeah.
And so then that was February of 2008. In May of 2008, I got divorced. I moved to Springfield, Illinois. Driftglass was in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't, again, not planning on anything, right? And Driftglass said, I got to be in town. I got to come down to Springfield. Can I come and see you? I said, of course, come on, And we had a lovely time talking to one another. And Driftglass said to me, Fran, I want you to know, I know you just got divorced. I know you're still setting up your house. I know this is like, not the time to be making an offer to you in any way. But I want you to know, you don't know this maybe, but there are going to be men lined up around your house wanting to take you out and wanting to be with you. And I would like to be first in line.
I'm going to use that line if I ever have a chance.
That's a good one. Yeah. I want to be first in that line. So please keep in touch. That was really very flattering, and I did like him a lot. I really did. So
I do too. I feel like
he's just a nice person. So from then on, we were really talking on the phone a lot, and and then we started in 2010. January of 2010, we started a podcast together, and we had gone since that time. We did start dating, and we did wind up going to a lot of meetups in Chicago with other bloggers, with other liberals, and 2 or 3 meetups in a row. People would say to us, "You two should be on the radio together, because the way you talk to one another is just dynamite."
Chemistry.
And I always have a rule that if sometime the third time someone says something to me, well, then I have to take action. That's whoever somebody's trying to knock something into my head, right? So I said, let's see what we can do with this online radio talking thing, and because you're in Chicago, we can do it remotely. It's audio, so it can be you, and we put together this very bare bones show. And I had done video blogs, and I had done a little audio blogging and a little audio editing. So it was very amateurish, but it was fun. And it was very much like starting blogging. We just kind of did it for goofs and to have a product to put out.
Yeah. And also to, vent the rage, I guess.
Right. Well, and we had just, hadn't decided to get married or anything by that time. We were just podcasting. That didn't happen till over a year later that we sort of this is really working out.
I love it.
We were sitting on my futon in my
that's right,
in Chicago, wondering what we shall call this podcast that we have done several of. Robert Gibbs came on television and made mock of the professional left. And we said, "Oh, thank you so much."
Well, and then we went right to our laptops, and professionalleft.blogspot.com hadn't been taken yet, and Pro Left Pod hadn't been taken. No one had jumped on that, and we just thought, oh my gosh, we have to just start grabbing all of these, brand. I'm not into branding, but I want my show to be what my show is called, So we grabbed all those Google accounts and
went.
And there we went. We were just the Driftglass and Bluegal podcast for about 6 months, I think, before we became the professional left.
Well, the professional left term always made me smile because the left doesn't get paid.
That's right. There's no professional at all.
And the seminar you attended about the rules of blogging, how to make your blog profitable. Rule 1 is don't have your podcast in the middle of Middle America.
Right.
It's
got to be in LA or New York.
LA, DC, or New York are where you need to go because we basically the entire middle of this country, this big, beautiful country of ours, is completely off the radar of what passes for liberal podcast networking, the media, everybody. It's all flyover.
Except for presidential primaries, the media never comes here.
Never comes
to this part of the country.
And this is this is what always freaks me out a little bit, or just makes me smile, because I have a monopoly on this. So hey, why not? Yeah. This is my part of the country. This is the part of the world that my party and my liberal brothers and sisters want to draw from, because they've already got New York and DC and LA. That's all done. Yeah. They've got that locked down. But this is all contested territory. And we do things, like we have this awesome governor, and we have a Democratic supermajority in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we have
you talked about last time. Yeah, I heard it.
And I'm buried, Lincoln is buried a mile from our house. So we kind of have Republicans in our backyard. And it's weird that the one part of the country that all of these people want to colonize in their imagination, the Ohio diner where everyone talks about Trump, they don't ever actually want to come out here and listen to anything that liberals in the Midwest have to say. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that goes for the lovely people at Pod Save America. It goes for all of the sort of large professional, profitable enterprises. They just don't pay any attention to anything that's west of the Hudson River or east of Vegas.
You do kind of get the, when you analyze from afar away, which is what, I mean, I don't know. I don't live there now,
Right.
Which is, but you get this kind of time lapse because I've gone back and I got here in 1987 and I've traveled back and forth. So I get to see the gradual changes and the changes in the Democratic Party, which, the kind of attitude that you're talking about, that metropolitan attitude that so many conservatives or so many right-wing people got all bent out of shape about when they with Clinton. It wasn't so much what she said. She's part of that, elite that that evidently thing. When you live in places, I would probably die the minute I open my mouth. I just two questions. How do you negotiate that and still have a community, because you're very tightly with the church there? How do you forgive everybody?
Some people you don't forgive.
Oh, brother.
How do you deal with that, man? Because I listen to you every week and I'm going, she's cracking. He's cracking.
I'm cracking.
You need to come to our Sunday school, because I'm much more into the Old Testament retribution side than the New Testament, and from a practical purpose, from a practical reason too. I mean, that the whole idea of let us all join hands, let's all forgive, let's all forget. We tried that. It was an 8-year. I've said this before on our podcast. We had an 8-year lab experiment from the guy who announced his candidacy 2 miles from this house.
That's right.
About what would it be like if David Brooks's dream candidate were elected president of the United States as a Democrat, and tried to pass Romney Care to help people who are getting screwed for health care. Not what I want, not Medicare for all, not even a public option, but just something to help. We saw the Republican Party do an 8-year racist primal scream and elect the king of the birthers. So, and Barack Obama, I remember vividly, and I remember blogging about it, went to Baltimore, the seat of The Wire and other great television series, to the Republican retreat. He crashed their retreat. I forget this was 9 or 10. And
it was 2009.
They invited him. Yeah, but he never showed. I mean, but he showed. And he's standing there with 154 Republicans and him, and no notes, saying, look, I'm begging you. We have to fix healthcare. If you have a better idea, tell me what it is. I will do it. You want me to name it after you? I will do it. But please, for God's sakes, let's work together. And they threw up one idea after another. He says, that won't work. That's not going to do anything. And he spent years begging them to please, I'll give you 90% of the playing field. Just meet me somewhere. And they screwed him. And so that's the lesson that's the lesson I took away from that, which was these people are irredeemable and they cannot be forgiven because they can't find it in their heart to admit they were ever wrong. They're not going to stop.
Well, and the moderator of that retreat with Barack Obama was Mike Pence.
Yeah.
And all Mike Pence wanted to talk about was across the board tax cuts for family farms and small businesses.
And Paul Ryan wanted to talk about like litigation reform, tort reform. Like, Paul, that's not going to get anybody any health care. And
explain Mike Pence. I don't know. I'm in a foreign country. It's like walking oatmeal. We on the show we used to call him Weekend at Bernie's. It's just kind of like in the background. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, he started off as a radio talk show host.
Yep.
He still has that skill set, but his party, he always depended on the crazy base to vote for the people that he agreed with in Washington, and then shut up for 4 years.
Yeah, that's right.
And their base got enough red meat from Fox News and hate radio that they finally rose up and found a candidate in Donald Trump who was willing to call them out, willing to call out Jeb Bush, who was going to be the candidate. It was going to be Jeb or Marco Rubio. It's going to be some, right-wing Florida Republican who's going to cut our taxes and provide tort reform as healthcare,
Yeah.
And the base, after being ashamed of Bush and ashamed of Romney, and Fox News really got caught in a lie over the Romney election because they said, "Oh, Romney's going to win in a landslide. We promise you," and the lie and the truth were only 3 days apart, and people were wise enough to realize, "Oh, they just lied to us. That was this week." It wasn't a long-term lie.
Yeah.
So distrust, even in Fox News.
Well, we gave you
sprung
that
up
guy.
out of that.
Yeah, thanks for that.
We gave you that guy. I'm so
Well,
he's evil.
Yeah.
He just really is. He's just on the show that we do. I have a jihad against the guy. Because I think that he is pure evil.
He is.
And he's the guy who's I did this thing on Lee Atwater early on, and how the changes of the Republican Party, and then you read the bridge, the one on Reagan. You know who I'm talking about?
Rick Perlstein. Rick Perlstein.
Yeah. And to look at that progression of crazy.
Yeah.
And you said on the last broadcast, that they've always been crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the Equal Rights Amendment and running into these John Birchers.
Oh yeah.
But they were kind of like in Massachusetts, Bluegal, because you were in Massachusetts. Our version of a Republican is like a communist.
Right.
And where you live.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to say that here in Springfield, it being the state capital, Republicans are a little bit neutered because there is a Democratic supermajority here, and there's no recall like there is in California. You can't do shenanigans like that. So if you're a downstate Republican legislator and you want to bring any bacon home to your district, you got to play nice.
Yeah,
good.
And so that we've just passed a tremendous green energy bill, which has a lot of things to work out, but they got all of the people to the table, and everybody got something that they wanted and had to give up something that they didn't want. And it's going to transform the state. We're going to have, 90% electric cars here by 2040. So, and we have a company in Normal, Illinois that's going to build them, and the state fleet is going to be electric. And there's, there are things there that are just amazing that got done, and took 3 years to write this bill, but
it got done.
Republicans came to the table and said, no, my district has a coal plant. We're going to have to transition here. This is what's, we can't just do this overnight. And that's true. You can't just do it overnight. There's still some concerns about reliability of the grid and so forth, and that's nationwide. But
now, if you're
progress being made.
If you're a Republican in downstate Illinois, in our county, Sangamon County, and you want to raise money, you bring in Candace Owens.
Yeah.
A stone cold lunatic like Candace. You pay her to come to your rally and whip up the meatheads who will throw money at you because you brought in. And before her, it was Corey Lewandowski. The year before that, it was another idiot.
He's from Lowell.
He's
from Lowell, Massachusetts. I know that because he used to be a state cop there, and I know the state cops in Lowell. They're dicks.
Yeah. Well, he's risen as high as a dick is going to rise.
Yeah. When he said he was a Lowell cop, I went, I remember you bastards. Oh yeah, you get the bully in school. You give the uniform to,
and racist.
And that's the Republicans are, man. They're bullies, left to right and center. You just look at them; they are.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, something I wanted to do with you. I'm gonna give you some words. Some words. And I'm going to throw them at you, and I just want you to give your gut reaction to them. Here they are. Number 1, Scott Morrison.
I have no reaction to Scott Morrison.
That's our prime minister.
No reaction whatsoever.
You know, the other day when we got our subs, they had the news conference, and Biden said, "I'd like to thank that fella down under."
Yeah. Scott Morrison, he's real memorable here. Now,
Well,
do we owe you an apology about these subs, because we've had a lot of fun pissing off the French over this.
Sure.
You know, our oldest ally.
Well, that's the thing about, the media there, is that it's like it comes out here, like, especially if something starts here, because then I know it, because I read the local papers, and we have military things here, so you're closer to it. The French didn't mention the fact that their contract was $50 billion over budget. We had been waiting. We were supposed to get the subs in 2030. Now it's going to be 2050. The French had been diddling us around because they could for a very long time. My view toward the subs is, I'm not crazy about it, but everybody knows we're the 51st state down here. And if the Chinese are, not the people, they're great. The government are fascists. And people in America think they understand that. They don't have any idea what I can't get my, coffee. It's fascism, I saw the Hong Kong stuff, and I know people have done business over there. They just disappear you. It's gone.
Right.
That's right.
And I'd rather be with my close friends over here. See, America gets a lot of crap because no other country gets the scrutiny that America gets. You guys, you guys. Well, I say you guys. My home airs its laundry in public.
Yeah. Whereas
China, half the population could go missing tomorrow, and you wouldn't even know.
Yeah,
well, and there's a podcaster, an all-around nice guy named Hal Sparks in this country, who does a great number of things, including broadcast from Chicago occasionally, which we appreciate. He's been on our podcast a few times, and he's traveled to China a lot. He's shot programs there. He has a band. He's visited. He speaks. I know he speaks Mandarin.
I think, yeah.
And he's working, and he actually travels the country. And he comes back and says, "I swear to you, there are not 1.7 billion people in that country. There are 600 million tops, because you go to the big cities and they're just not that many people. I don't know where they are. I don't know what the lies are, but his theory is there's just no way that there's that many people. That's why you have all these empty cities built, one
they
after
can
another.
Build anything, he says.
But
but
they're empty because there's not enough people to fill them. It's to keep the illusion alive. And that might be crazy talk. That might be liberal crazy talk. But it is astonishing about the assumptions we make about what we know when we have no idea how the world really works in 90% of the globe.
Yeah.
And the only exposure beyond your show to Australian culture that we have is occasionally we're able to watch Have You Been Paying Attention?
Really?
And we love that show. We need that show in this country.
It's a great show.
Great show. We can't get it.
But you guys got to come down. That's all there is to it. You got to make those big bucks.
Yeah.
And
fly to Australia.
If you come to Australia, I'll look after you.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Okay.
Well, I have a small problem in that I'm 6'8".
Yeah, he's 6'8".
I don't fold up real good in an aircraft. My siblings
and I'm almost as wide as he is tall. So
I'm tall and wide.
Challenge flying.
I've spent half my life with my knees up my nose.
Yeah.
And 6'8". My God.
Yep. So I did a lot of traveling when I was a little kid. My family traveled all over the world as teachers and principals, and I enjoyed it. But man, the thought of a 4-hour plane ride to Denver is just, because my knees are going to be up to here, and my lower half is going to be numb unless I can dive in and get one of the 3 seats that have leg room. So I love
you have to
traveling.
fly first class, Driftglass. We have to fly, first class the whole way.
That's the case.
Oh, it's very nice. I remember
well,
when I was actually acting, I got a few commercials. I did Shakespeare, no one cared. I did a suntan oil ad, and I was in first class.
Wow.
And
yeah.
it's like Les Miserables, man.
Well, you've got the golden pipes just like Driftglass does.
You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah. So I want to just ask you from the standpoint of Australia. I don't want to take over your show, but
no, please.
Do we owe you an apology for the sub situation? Because we feel like
I don't think. I don't know. No, I don't think. Listen, we have been ever since Gough Whitlam was deposed by the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
We have Gough Whitlam. Have you ever heard his name?
Tell us that story.
Okay, once upon a time, there was our Labor Prime Minister, which was kind of Australia's FDR.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in and did something strange. He gave everybody national health insurance, and he made education free.
No.
Commie.
No.
And he's a god here.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Canada, of course, the person who gave, the public medical care in Canada is worshipped like a god. Once you get it in, no one will touch it.
Right.
And I was very much, so Gough Whitlam is and he was more or less deposed by the CIA had infiltrated the union movement here and caused a bit of a ruckus, and the Whitlam government was they did so many things so quickly that there were incredible problems in instituting them. But if you look at the changes that he made, Gough is that is the Labor Party. Then of course the Labor Party moved more to the right, but we've always been America's best friend here. And I don't mind that because we got China at our back door. We got Indonesia right over there. And by the way, East Timor and what the Indonesian armies did over there was nothing short of genocide. So we got a lot of bad actors that are right over next door. And we're just, frying our sausages and, having beers. And we'd like to continue. Without basically, that. So you get and now it's getting hot down here because, usually you're in the corner of the room that no one's paying attention to.
Right.
And there's an advantage to that.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that Biden, every time I hear Biden talking about your part of the world, I hear a guy who has sat in on, classified briefings about China for 30 years.
Yeah.
And takes your part of the world extremely seriously.
Oh,
and that's the first president I've seen talk that way.
Thank God. And because while Chuckles the clown was in charge, you had all the bad actors acting out at once.
Well, and his number one concern was that his daughter get as many patents out of China as she could.
Yeah, I was concerned about that.
Yeah, we all did. I lost a lot of sleep over that. So
I can't sleep. How's she doing? All right.
Well, she's disappeared. I'll tell you.
Really?
She and her husband.
I'm so sad.
Have absolutely evaporated from the public scene because they don't want to get indicted.
Yeah. I love these people when when the fit shits the hand, who stays, and none of them.
Yeah. Right.
It's just rats. There's no even loyalty among, you would have some respect if any of these people showed any personal loyalty to anything other than a dollar or, but they don't. And that's where you guys come from. You especially Driftglass. You see, Fran, you're very nice, and I see you forgiving people. I listen to Driftglass and I go, what John Wayne said in True Grit, he reminds me of me. And when Chris was alive, she was my nice part. She was the one that balanced me out. you know, and said, "Don't get upset. It's okay." It's not okay. You know, so but I look at them as they're just awful people.
Mm-hmm.
They're just I would rather, you know, put needles in my eyes than spend an hour with them. And that's why if I went over there and I sat in a bar and I listened to somebody, they'd kill me. I'd say something smart ass and look at me.
Well, we have a rule in our marriage that only one of us is allowed to be a either suicidal or homicidal maniac at one time.
That was one of
the other one has to calm the other one down. That
was one of the questions I really want to say. How do you deal with because when I lost my wife, I think a lot of the rage that I had went into the show.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was a good place to vent. And even through the worst of it, I kept doing the show, even when I wasn't at work.
That's good.
I kept doing the show. I said facetiously that, you know, it can depress you, but when you read things like climate change reports and and stuff, how do you deal with that? I found it sometimes that I can't do a show. I just look at it and I just go, I'm going to cry, because I mean, if we can't pull together to put masks on our face, how the fuck are we going to deal with climate change?
Yep.
You know, smoke them if you got them, pal.
And we've got Congress people who own stock in coal companies, and
but how contemptible is that?
It was released today that Joe Manchin makes $500,000 a year off of the coal industry. I just made him mad. I said that name.
See, since we're throwing words around, Joe Manchin here.
Joe Manchin.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
do I look like a joke to you? Do I? That's the meeting I want him to have with Joe Manchin.
Yeah.
I'm going to take
baseball.
This pen, right?
Am I a clown to you? Do I make you laugh? Am I a clown?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, there are actually different answers to that question from our point of view, from a very personal point of view. The first is we have a community of people who listen to us every week and who really do care about us, and we care about them, and we promise not to miss a week if at all possible. I think we've done 617 or something shows. We missed one, and that was a listener had put together a sort of a best of clip for us, so we were able to do that. But we've gone through weddings and funerals and births of children and honeymoons and never missed a show, because we have a community that keeps us up, and who are a lot of them are little blue dots in red states.
Yeah.
And they don't have all a massive liberal infrastructure around them, so they can go down the block and get reassurance, or everyone around them thinks like them, or like in Chicago, Devon Avenue, which is, you know, the UN of Chicago, just one neighborhood after another of totally diverse people living in harmony side by side. And so that's one thing. And the other thing is, honestly, you know, I don't want to go all churchy on you, but the Methodist thing about do what you can, where you can, as you can. You know, don't say the problems of the world are entirely your problem. I don't say give them to God, because I don't believe that. But do what you can, where you can, to your best.
Do all the good you can. Do all the good you can.
Do all the good you can. And that's as much as you can ask of anybody. And so if you're doing what you can, like I delivered, my wife did postcards to voters at 7:00 this morning. And I dropped them off at the post office, because that's the division of labor. She does all the hard work. I do all the easy shit.
You drink scotch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You know? But it really is, there's work to be done in front of you somewhere. And if you're despairing, find something to do. You know, we say chop wood and carry water. We really mean that. And that is from before Enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After Enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. There's stuff to be done every day, and you just do it. And if I'm a naturally depressed person. I'm a writer.
Hi. Nice to see you.
I'm an Irish heritage writer. So
I'm on so much medication, it's a miracle I'm standing up. Okay.
Yep.
The black dog lives at my door.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's no.
Right here.
But
no.
I have a beautiful family, lovely stepchildren, and I try really hard to remind myself of how obscenely good I have it compared to what I deserve to have, and compared to 99% of the rest of the world.
Yes.
And, you know, and then you'd be depressed sometimes, but we do have an agreement that one of us can be crazy at a time. That's it. And the other one will be, you know,
or hopeless or upset or whatever, right? Whatever that.
Fran, when you cry, I get really upset. When those bad people make you sad, and I'll tell you something.
I cried today because our governor has expanded heating assistance to the entire state, and I was on heating assistance in 2008. My kids wouldn't have had shoes that winter if we hadn't had heating.
How are you guys going? You got the medical bills cleared up?
Yes. I had quite a summer. I had 2 root canals and a heart ultrasound this summer, and our listeners raised $4,000 for us in 10 days to pay those medical bills. So God bless them.
A lot of love. But the idea that you guys have that medical system,
it's insane. And that's with insurance. I mean, that's with insurance is just the amazing part of it.
Friend of mine. You go ahead, Fran. I'm talking.
Oh, today, the New York Times had an article about, and I have very mixed feelings about it. Insurers are no longer stopping the cost sharing for COVID treatment. So last year, when there was no immunization available, a lot of insurers pitched in and said, "Oh, we're not going to charge if you're being treated for COVID. We want to encourage you to get treatment, get tested, get treatment. So we're going to waive all copays and deductibles."
Yeah.
And, you know, copays and deductibles can be $8,000 in some plans here, you know, just a lot of money. And now that there's a vaccine, and if you're hospitalized, 99% chance that you decide not to get the vaccine, they're not going to waive those copays or deductibles. So you've got a choice in America of get a free vaccine, which in many cases, the pharmacy gives you a gift card for coming in to get that shot. So you're getting paid to do it.
In some cases, you get entered into a gun lottery,
you know, right?
Free donuts, you know, beer,
spin
whatever.
The wheel. Your other option is spin the wheel, and you wind up hospitalized and taxing our, you know, ICU beds.
Isn't there a part of you that's sitting there going, you know, all right, have at it, Hoss.
Well, I'll tell you, we were accused of that. This is the amazing thing, and I want Driftglass to talk about this too. Apparently, we liberals have secret powers that are beyond human.
Well, why haven't you used them?
There was an op-ed at Breitbart today saying that this is a liberal plot to demand that we get vaccinated so that we won't get vaccinated, and the left will kill Trumpers off using reverse psychology. And this is the argument they're making. And you want to talk about David Frum and our secret liberal power we have? Apparently?
Yeah, sure. My radar for certain things is pretty good. So a couple of days ago, David Frum, with whom you might be familiar.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
I figured you were.
Yeah.
Because he is a, you know, George Bush speechwriter, and he works for The Atlantic, and he has a very comfortable life being a former Republican.
Yeah.
And he's, from his position in The Atlantic, he wrote what appeared to me to be a 500,000 word essay on basically what we on the left owe the Never Trumpers, what we should do for them, because you don't understand how hard it is to leave the fascist movement.
Yeah.
And it is, and you had to read down 1,700 paragraphs to find where he goes full tone police, which is, you know, there's a lot of abrasive assholes on the left. And there's a guy I know named Marty, and he took it very personally. And I'm pretty sure he's not going to vote Democratic this time because he heard somebody on Fox News say something about something, and some liberal said something. And you all need to stop being so mean to Republicans if you want us to join your fucking party. Pardon my language. And my answer was, I didn't realize that we on the left, because he's talking about bloggers, because nobody else talks this way.
Yeah.
You certainly can't insult Republicans on the news. So we liberal bloggers, the 5 of us who are left, have apparently like Thanos-like powers where we can snap our fingers and make the entire Republican Party just rush into the arms of Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis, destroy the Biden administration, and doom us to 1,000 years of fascist dark ages. I didn't realize I had that kind of power. So now that I do know that, I've got some demands to make. But his thesis was, hey, I watched my party. My job was to be smart about politics, and I never noticed my party was a fascist dung heap until 5 minutes ago, and then they kicked me out.
Who brought these Nazis in? What?
Well, Nazis? There's a skinhead on your right, and there's a Nazi on your left, and a Klansman in the back of you. Maybe you're on the wrong bus, David. Nope, because he was doing fine. And all these Never Trumpers are this way. It's like, we never knew what was going on. Well, shit, man, I'm a liberal blogger from Illinois. I knew what was going on. How do you still have a job having opinions about politics? Number one. Number two, how do you get off telling me how to run my freaking party? You don't know jack about anything. You were shocked to discover there are Republicans in the Republican Party. And now you have a job at The Atlantic, and you have a job at USA Today, and you have a job at the New York Times, telling me that I need to mind my manners because I might make Republicans, who are notoriously sensitive and prone to civil discourse, to mind my manners. Like, dude, I've listened to Rush Limbaugh vomiting out of radio speakers for 30 effing years, for decades. I watched Newt Gingrich teach your party to dump on people like me to get elected. How dare you tell me that you're shocked by rude and coarse language? Shut up, David Frum. But David Frum has a nice perch from which to say these things.
But I think this is a larger trend, Driftglass, because it's everyone from the old guy on the Andy Griffith bus who's touring Mayberry and pretends, and in his mind, January 6th, the insurrection was all Antifa and Black Lives Matter people.
Oh, for God's
it was
sake.
staged. It was staged. And then all the way up to David Frum. And today, Fox News, Fox and Friends, was blaming the media for covering the January 6th rally, which was this past weekend, where 100 people showed up to defend the political prisoners who are in jail for tearing down the Capitol.
It's like Mandela, isn't it? It really is.
It really is.
It's shocking.
I was thinking the same thing. And my favorite, because I have a whole 52 playing card versions of this stuff, but my favorite one is The Bulwark, which is basically the Weekly Standard.
Yeah.
They just picked up and moved over here, and now they're this other thing. But it's Bill Kristol, and it's all the same people. Charlie Sykes blaming liberals for Donald Trump taking over their party. Because we did it. Yeah. We did it. We called them racist for so long that they became racist. See?
That's it.
Yeah, and
then he goes surprise to Barack and Michelle Obama.
I was shocked. And this is, I know.
That's when they went crazy. That's when they...
He was Obama was divisive. That's the problem.
Yeah, because of the pigmentation of his skin. But no, I saw them go crazy. Yeah. And they said, no, it's not because of he's black. Of course it's because he's black.
Yeah.
Makes you crazy.
They're having a real hard time reconciling this because there's one guy, like Stuart Stevens, who says this all started in the Goldwater administration. I was there. I saw it. My party is a racist party. I thought it was, something we had under control. It wasn't. I was wrong. And there's no way to reconcile that history, which I agree with the Never Trump history, that everything began in 2016. Nothing before that matters. And it's liberals who cried wolf that made us numb to the fact the Republican Party was becoming crazy, so that we didn't watch more carefully. This is from a guy who spent 30 years on right-wing radio as a right-wing radio asshole in Wisconsin, saying it's liberals' fault. They did it.
And he is solely the reason that Wisconsin does not have high-speed rail. Himself is responsible for that.
Which wouldn't trouble me so much, but every day I can see him on MSNBC occupying the seat.
His policies.
And he tasks me. He tasks
me. And I shall have him.
I should have him.
round the rings of the devil. Yeah.
That's another thing. I got to say, I worked at the science fiction bookstore when I was young, and your science fiction jonesing is fabulous for me. I just literally, if she hadn't married you, I probably would have.
Well, what was your bookstore called, by the way?
The science fiction bookstore. Baird Searles was in charge.
Okay.
And he was with another guy. And I copped a look, and that's when I started reading Harlan Ellison and fell in love.
Ours was called The Stars Our Destination, and it was on, I forget which cross street in Chicago it was, but you walk in, you can just inhale, and a very dear friend of mine named Phyllis Eisenstein, who is the woman who gave George R.R. Martin the idea to put dragons in his book. If you read the first book, it says, "To Phyllis, who told me to put in dragons." That was my friend and mentor and science fiction teacher. She has the most astonishing collection of science fiction books in her home, which I helped her sort. And her husband collects science fiction cover art from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and has like 1,000 of these things in their basement. So and
you haven't worked out how to get into her will yet.
No, but I'm working on it. Real hard.
Just a lot of compliments. You look great. How are you? Have you lost weight? Fabulous. Listen, I just had a few more things. Do I have time, or do you guys gotta go? Okay,
go.
Yeah,
just cut me off because I'll chat forever. Okay, when that happens, I'll know. I was a big Bernie Sanders fan, and there was a kind of a reason which you guys consider left isn't really left.
Mm-hmm.
Because
by world standards,
by world standards, the Democratic Party is advocating stuff that conservative parties in other countries
absolutely
have.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
that's right.
Things like socialized medicine, stuff like that. Now, Bernie would be probably a middle of the road guy here.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
So, I love him. I loved him before he ran for president. I love the fact that he had the courage of the convictions to stand up against the Bush tax cuts.
Now he's the Senate budget chairman.
I know. And that's why this Manchin thing is
infuriating. Yeah.
Oh no, who is this guy? And basically, seriously, to have one person get in the way of saving the planet, because if America doesn't do this, we're fucked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're down here literally. I live in the woods here, so I got that up the hill the other day during the last fires. A place called Healesville exploded, just wiped off the map.
Mm-hmm.
We have it every year. It's not a kind of like, and we got it first down here.
I remember 2 decades ago, children had to wear hats to school.
It stopped at the top
the
of my
ozone
street.
Was gone. Yeah.
And I'm thinking of selling the family place, not only because I'm, getting older and a lot of memories around here, but also to, just to get out of here because it's so incredible. And then I look at what he's trying to do, which is I'm so impressed by, and people like him here. We were so relieved because, and I heard an American say, "Why do you do a show? It's nothing to do with you." Yeah, well, what you guys do affects us.
Yeah,
every day, and we don't get a vote. And you guys, put this drunk driver in charge, and we're in the back seat, going, "You got to get the keys off him."
You're chained up in the back seat. You cannot leave. Yeah.
No,
right.
No, and so this Manchin thing and the climate change stuff has great importance to us because the only people who are going to get China and Russia and all those, Russia is America. Australia can't do it, and we've got our own, fascist idiots over here.
Right.
So, yeah, it's interesting.
Well, and what we have talked about several times here is that we've got to de-Manchin the Senate, and that means electing more Democrats to the Senate. And we have a very good map this year. In 2022, Democrats for the Senate have a good map. There are enough people leaving. There's opportunities in Pennsylvania and other states to really flip some seats of people retiring.
What do you think about Congress?
Well, midterm are an issue in terms of flipping, and I don't look forward to 2 years of talking about Hunter Biden's laptop, but that may be the case. The House is, fingers crossed. One thing that came out today is that the judge in New York City who is determining the calendar for the Trump Organization tax fraud case, it will be tried next summer. So we're going to have a summer of Trump on trial,
right,
leading up to the November midterms, which is really awesome.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
I agree with you. But I look at it as a ray of hope. And the recall in California, I think was much better news for Democrats than the media wants to let on.
The media didn't do, the media, by the way, is totally in the pocket for conservative interests.
It is. It is.
MSNBC is not
they're not your friend.
No, they're not
your friend.
As I say on the show, because I hate my own head, I watched Morning Joe.
Oh,
I can't do it.
Do it.
I stopped about 5 years ago. Yeah.
I sat there and did 10 minutes on the show of Mika Brzezinski actually having the balls to get up and throw shade on Joe Biden from withdrawing from Afghanistan when his father was the one who started it.
Right,
it's like
right. Yep. And just ignoring that fact.
And I'm an idiot. I'm just a school teacher in Upway. I know this shit.
But we know who your daddy is, Mika.
Oh, we do. Well, and I used to do every week. I would do a Sunday morning breakdown. That Sunday morning coming down was my blog. Every week I would watch all the Sunday shows. I would take them apart, and I can't do it anymore. And it's not that I don't have the energy. It's just nothing changes. Nothing changes. They are absolutely, and you can throw as many good people as you want into the pot, but they are going to watching Rachel Maddow, who's an adorable person.
I like Rachel.
Many good traits. X number of years ago, go on a jeremiad about Bill Kristol, that the wrongest man in politics. There's nobody more wrong than Bill Kristol. I agree with that 100%. And she can't swear on the air, so that limits her vocabulary somewhat. But just going on a long tear about what the hell is this guy doing with a job? My God, this guy's the worst embarrassment. Jump forward a few years, Bill Kristol is now a paid MSNBC contributor, and you don't hear a single word from anybody about what a asshole and how utterly wrong Bill Kristol is, because now he's been rehabilitated. Now he's a member of the resistance. Now he's the good guy. And I just watch this oh shit, they can take Rachel Maddow.
Yeah.
And whatever my theory is, they put a tiny explosive device at the back of this. and unless you say both sides do it 5 times every show, boom, off your head goes. And that they have Melissa Harris Perry's resume on a pike in the cafeteria as a warning to anyone who crosses management and tries to do their show their way.
Yeah.
Well, you kid about that, Driftglass, but in all seriousness, they have staff meetings where you are told what a privilege it is to be here.
Yes.
It is such a privilege to be on cable news and to be serving the American people, blah, 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 blah. And the way we serve the American people is both sides.
Yeah.
Both sides are equally, yes. Driftglass is making some obscene gestures right now, people.
You're up my alley. You've heard my show. Come on.
Yes.
Yep. You're not recording this, are you? Because, man, that would be perfect.
No, I'm not. Everything's fine.
Good.
Phil.
Well, and you're right about Bernie. And we, our household was
I know.
a Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren household.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it is, and we really do feel the stress sometimes, because there are people who are, I voted for John Anderson my first election.
I know.
And because I was young and stupid. And it was Jimmy Carter was not pure enough for me, and Reagan was insane. So I'm just gonna throw my vote over here, because I'm too principled for this. And I want to stay that kind of principled person until, they wheel me off. But by the same token, there are people who are coming into politics going, why can't we have everything happen right now? And I'm like, because there are lots of things that are set up to prevent that from happening, and saying it should happen and it must happen doesn't do anything. And if
it goes back to what Driftglass said about do all the good you can.
Right.
That requires pragmatism that is painful.
It's painful.
It's painful to have to be pragmatic when you want what you want is a good thing for poor people.
I remember coming home from debate in high school and crying to my mother because the topic was scarce world resources. And I was crying because OPEC was making, as I recall, $115,000 a second, and people were starving. And I want to know how that could possibly be true. How can one group of people be making all the money, and 20 feet away there are people who are starving and dying?
Yeah.
And she didn't have an answer for me other than, the world's a big, complicated place, and everyone is trying to do their best, and maybe you can fix it when you grow up, or you can help participate in fixing it. And it is heartbreaking to me to tell people who use the word should every other word. Of course, there should be voting rights everywhere. Of course, we should have universal health care. Of course, why don't we? Well, see, it all started in 1821. And like, And I remember, and I said, now I know you want to burn the system down. I know you do. Of course you do, because the system is screwing you. Imagine you're a Black American. The system is screwing you for 400 years. So, got it. But here's the thing. When you create that power vacuum, that chaotic power vacuum, when you throw all of your support to a third party or a fourth or a fifth, we do not have a parliamentary system here. If one party of these two is going to win,
chicken or fish.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it's, chicken or broken glass and gasoline.
Right.
Cyanide,
the chicken is probably bad, but it's better than broken glass. And it's hard to tell that to people and have them stay engaged and passionate. It's like it's a long road, man.
I had that problem on social media because you're a foreigner. Well, no, I'm still a citizen, but also I supported Bernie Sanders. And then when Bernie didn't, when he lost the big election, the Carolina election, and then I just came to the conclusion, really, America's not ready for it. It's not going to happen. And I got shredded. You traitor, you don't really, you're just you're in the pocket for the man. And I'm sitting there going, there is what's possible and what's not possible.
Right.
And then you listen to somebody like Jimmy Dore, who I think he's funny.
He's funny.
He is funny. As Bernie Sanders calls, I was weeping. He did one about why didn't I get a bomb in the mail? Damn it. What am I, a piker? What do they give a bomb to? Jesus, might as well give one to Caspar Weinberger.
But Jimmy Dore's on Tucker Carlson now.
I can't. Anyone who goes on RT loses any credibility.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. It's
but
just.
He's also got a $7 million house in California, so he's.
Does he really?
He's doing well for himself. So.
Well, I worry about him. So
Yeah, I do too.
It's nice. I am so happy to have had a chance to talk to you. I'm winding this up because I'm getting the sense that that you guys have other things to do with your life.
Well, it's nighttime here, so
it is. You need your sleep.
We're ready to end the day. But we have to do this again. This was very fun for us.
I had such a great time. I wish I was in a situation where I could actually meet you. And I actually considered that once, so that when I was flying over, that I would actually make a stop in Illinois.
You're always welcome.
I don't know anyone in Illinois. Now I do.
You know us.
You do. And by the way, I'm a personal friend of Barack Obama. So.
Oh, well.
Well, it's true. It's true.
Well, you did sit at a table with him, didn't you?
No, I was on the board of a group called the Independent Voters of Illinois Independent Precinct Organizations in Chicago. and we were vetting candidates. We were the crazy liberal group that vetted candidates in Illinois, and nobody took the ballots are really long. We're the people that would stick the sample ballot inside of the reader, and everybody voted top of the ticket that we were going to. But all the weird jobs like streets and sand and water reclamation district, we would get those candidates, bumped up. So, and people had to sort of pay a little bit of homage to us. So this young up and coming state senator who's running for Congress came to be vetted by us, and we grilled his ass, and we said, I like this guy. This guy's going places. And that was Barack Obama. So I still have my Barack the Vote fundraiser ticket for his failed congressional campaign, which thank God he failed, because then he became senator, and the rest is history.
That was better run, yeah.
And at the bottom it says no corporate contributions will be accepted. That is how long ago and far away.
Yeah.
Those were the good old days.
So,
Yeah, I have an auto-signed a letter from Clinton. So, that's my brush with greatness. That's it.
There you go.
That's it.
Well,
hey, guys, thank you so very much for your time.
We're delighted. It was so much fun. Thank you.
So much fun. Bye-bye, Fran.
Now I'm all jacked up and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I know. You're going to have to have some scotch,
go have to blog for half.
Yeah,
some scotch.
Now, I'm going to go blog, man. I'm going to blog the hell out of this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Real honor.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.